The Delta Complex is the most advanced research facility on Mars. The complex is divided into three main sectors, each serving unique purposes, and one smaller sector that houses the main test portal. Access can only be gained through the monorail or CPU complex.
You are too late. Hell no longer needs that portal to enter this world. The invasion you saw was only the first wave. The Hellgate is capable of sending millions of my children into your world. Soon, the fleet from Earth will be here, and with their ships, we will bring this hell to Earth.
Okay, first of all, when is the second wave going to begin, and when can I participate in combating it? And second of all, you demons should really evolve to grow some wings, so maybe you could just fly to Earth. It would be a bit of a simpler scheme, I would imagine. Anyway, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Doom 3, where in the previous episode we rescued the Soul Cube from the forces of hell. We've reclaimed it, and now it is our best friend for life, which is incredibly awesome, because the Soul Cube is pretty much the final weapon in the game. This thing is indeed a weapon, and if you read some of the PDA files, then you could actually learn a bit more about how it functions, but I will explain it to you since we will have a chance to use it a couple of times. And we've lost all of our weaponry as well, which kind of makes me question how the scientists managed to teleport a whole squadron of Marines into hell, and they still somehow managed to keep all of their weaponry, I'm presuming. I mean, we are technically a walking human arsenal, so perhaps there is a weight limit to how many tons of ammunition and backpacks and guns you could carry into the teleporter at a time, so I will concede there. Perhaps they thought ahead with this sort of idea, and maybe there are such petty things as weight limits to how many things you can carry into a different dimension. It's kind of tedious, but this part of the game, on the other hand, does get a lot more entertaining because it starts off a bit more difficult than usual, where we don't have an exceptional amount of ammo for anything. And it kind of goes on like this for a bit until we start getting a couple more commonplace ammo packs, such as like shotgun shells and all that good stuff. And hey, you didn't take that grenade at all. Give me a sec. Don't punch me. Very good. I wanted you to direct your attention to this doorway anyway, because if we run back here, we can actually reclaim our chainsaw, as well as pick up another ammo belt, which is very nice. The chainsaw actually does have a very practical purpose right here. Even if you're not a huge fan of how melee weapons in Doom 3 function, this area gets a little bit tricky because we're introduced to a second variation of spiders. These are the squeaky squishy variant of spiders, and these are called ticks, I believe. They pretty much function identically to the trites, only they're squeaky. And that's pretty much the only difference. However, thanks to the brilliant strategy of corner baiting, we could just stand here crouched and rev up our chainsaw because they do not have a proper jumping distance to even hit us in the first place. So they'll just all kind of walk into the chainsaw blade, and you may have noticed off of the bat that the Soul Cube was giving us words of encouragement saying to use us. And what does this mean? I will tell you in a brief moment, but first of all, I have to get rid of all of these spiders. If you really wanted a challenge, you could try punching all of these spiders to death. I wouldn't exactly recommend it because the last time I tried it didn't go so smoothly, but maybe there's a bit of timing there that I'm just simply not aware of. The chainsaw, on the other hand, is just a lot more entertaining and satisfying to use, so that's why I use it. But I just want to run back here for a minute, just so I could listen to that, because if you decide to run away, then that door's going to be locked and Vitruker will have a giggle at your expense. You can select the Soul Cube by pressing Q on your keyboard, and pressing Q again will just return you to your previous weapon selected. The Soul Cube is basically a pocket medic. Every time you get 5 kills with this thing, it allows you to use it. And that pretty much didn't do a whole lot because we have plenty of health in stock. But what this thing does is that it kind of acts as a complete health refill under most circumstances. Once you throw the Soul Cube, it will drain the life force of the enemy you've thrown it at, which kills pretty much most enemies in this game instantly, and that's an incredibly handy feature. It returns to you all of their health. If it's an incredibly weak enemy, such as a spider, or a lost soul, or perhaps a cherub, then the health return, it just won't be as satisfactory. You'll probably only get about maybe 10 or 20 points of health, which is why it's kind of a waste to use it against them. Then again, you only need to acquire 5 kills in order to recharge the weapon, so all in all, it's an excellent power-up. I'm probably not going to use it a whole lot because it's just kind of too powerful in that respect, but Still, I have to admire how they decided to use a bit of a different health regaining function in this part of the game, because health kits and health stations kind of become a little less common. Thus, the developers just kind of want you to rely more on the fact that you have a companion cube that destroys demons with relative ease. So with that, we've reclaimed our shotgun, and immediately that garage door is going to open. This place might look a little familiar to you, by the way, and that's pretty much because it is. We've been in this area plenty of times. This was, I believe, the first sector of the Delta Labs, and we're kind of just traveling through multiple parts of the sectors until we reach the end of the level. So all in all, this level is probably going to be called the Delta Complex. I'm probably going to put that in the video title, even though the game classifies it as Sector 5. No, it's the Delta Complex. We're going through pretty much all of the Delta Complex. Once they walk over at this place, there's going to be an archvile right there. This is one of those few times where I feel inclined to using the Soul Cube, just because, hey, it's a cube, it's kind of fun. I'll break it out on the occasion, but I won't have a tendency to abuse it. I hope not, in that respect. Right then, let's get a move on, down this elevator. And we're going to use the power of grenades to exploit an artificial intelligence, because if you jump behind these boxes and just kind of wait for a minute, an enemy will run through that door, and it's a chain gun commando. And even with that small window of space right there, he could potentially shoot you through there. However, he never really seems to stop moving if he cannot locate you, and rather than returning to his original spawn point, you can just kind of toss a bunch of grenades over the boxes, and eventually you might kill him. That's my favorite strategy to use against that guy. If you have something more intelligent you would like to suggest, please enlighten me. Up these stairways, gonna be a spooky, scary skeleton. However, I'm very happy to have my chain gun in tow once again, so very nice to have this once more. By the way, the level design, if you might recall, is not entirely consistent with its presence of power-ups, because you may remember there were a couple of items down there. But to make it a little more obvious, if you recall this place, this health station was not empty when we last passed this area, and that little suit of armor down here is also missing, as well as a box of shotgun shells, which I believe I neglected to pick up. So I think the game automatically assumes that you perhaps just picked all of those items up because you're bad at this game, which, you know, to be fair, you might be the first time going around, especially if you're playing on veteran difficulty. Or, the other explanation is that Counselor Swan took them all.
Still alive? Looks like you might be on your own. Sarge is gone. They've got to him. I don't know how long he's been working against us. He's no longer human. Campbell went after him. He's got to be stopped. Hell is breaking through in the caverns. If that portal isn't closed before those ships arrive, Earth will be destroyed. Earth. That's what they've always wanted. They were there once. Lost it in the dawn of time. Now it's so close. They can taste it. It's up to you now. Take my PDA, it's got what you need. Good luck. I'm too beat up. I'll slow you down. I'll try to make it out on my own. It's up to you now.
So Sergeant Kelly was aligned with the demons the whole time? No way! I can't believe this! By the way, I just need you to pose real quick for the thumbnail of this video, Counselor Swan. That's pretty good. I'm sure that'll make a nice thumbnail. So, I appreciate you gracing us with master security clearance of the entire base, Mr. Swan, because he does have quite a lot of authority. I believe he's a paralegal, so that's just great. I mean, I hope you make it out just fine, buddy, but in the meantime, I'm going to abuse all of your security clearance and look at some of those level 6 boxes that I've seen roaming around in this place. You know, you need level 6 authority to open up a box. There's gotta be some super awesome weaponry in there. Maybe a finished model of the BFG 9000 even. That would be fantastic. I miss my BFG 9000. I'm sad now. Right, let's enter the Delta Labs lobby over here, where we actually have a pretty difficult battle. It's going to be 2 archviles. The first one is just going to spawn right in front of you, and that will in turn cause a commando to spawn. And you decided to attack me from a completely unprecedented location. Sure. And the second one will follow suit in a moment. So I'm going to try and not get hit by this guy, and as it turns out, I was successful because circle strafing saved my life, and I think you got a chance to see that other attack that the Archviles possess, which I was referring to, where if you try to confront them head-on, then they'll shoot out a jet stream of fire. By the way, this PDA over here, you might miss this one, and it doesn't correspond with any cabinets in this level, but rather at the very start of the following level. I've missed this one a number of times, and it is belonging to Mr. Bruce Jackson, so collect that one. Jump over this little meat mass over here if you want to get some extra armor and also stare at that guy's missing limb. And with that, you can see these were once the elevators that would potentially lock you out if you press the button without adequate security clearance. However, they're working just fine now. So, let's reload our plasma shooting device and switch to our shotgun, just because there's gonna be a time to use a shotgun against this guy who's probably looking at nasty things inside that computer terminal. In fact, let's go ahead and see what he's reading. Pointers to remember when opening sacrificial portals. You know, I had a magazine subscription to this once, but I think they stopped sending it to me by the time I had arrived on Mars, so I'm kind of curious to see what's in here. Let's download it and take a look in our personal emails, because we haven't had a chance to look at one of these terminals in a while. Valuable sacrificial pointers. Our time is here! Soon the humans will suffer eternal torment as spoken of in the prophecy we will feast upon their souls. When opening sacrificial portals, it is important to remember, virgin blood is best. Goat blood must be no older than 3 days. Entrails must be removed and apportioned either before death or no later than 30 minutes. Candles must be sorted by tallest in back to shortest in front, never the other way around. Most important, pentagrams must be drawn from the center to the outside and left to right. Doom 3 is an incredibly serious game. So, with all of that out of the way, we're actually going to run backwards here and collect another ammo belt for our precious chain gun ammo supply, and open the bay door. We have reached the exit of the levels. Now we can leave the Delta Complex and move on to the CPU Complex.